Welcome. Across 81 years, computers moved from guarded machine rooms into everyday life. This is how that distance disappeared.
For 81 years, personal computing has moved closer to us. It began in rooms of machinery, crossed through laboratories and workbenches, entered the home, and finally became a layer we carry everywhere. This is the story of how the distance disappeared, one threshold at a time. The computer revolution is usually told as a story about speed. But the deeper story is about access, who was allowed to touch computational power, and how much distance stood between a person and a machine. In the mid-1940s, that distance filled entire rooms. Machines such as ENIAC were experimental systems operated by specialists. Changing a problem could require switches, cables, punched media, and painstaking setup. A computer was not a personal tool. It was an institution you entered. Then, just before Christmas in 1947, the transistor changed the direction of travel. Compared with vacuum tubes, transistors could be smaller, more reliable, and far less demanding of energy. The breakthrough did not put a computer on a desk overnight. It did something more important first. It made continuous miniaturization possible. The giant room had begun, component by component, to collapse. By the 1960s, computing was becoming less like a one-off scientific apparatus, and more like an organized platform. IBM introduced System 360 in 1964 as a compatible family of machines. Organizations could invest in software and skills without starting from zero whenever the hardware changed. The machine was still remote from everyday life, but its language was becoming repeatable. That mattered because standards travel farther than inventions. In January 1975, the Altair 8800 appeared on the cover of Popular Electronics. It was primitive by modern standards, but its meaning was radical. A determined individual could buy a kit, assemble a microcomputer, and make the machine respond at a workbench rather than inside a corporate computer center. The personal computer industry did not begin with convenience. It began with permission. Ordinary enthusiasts no longer had to wait for an institution. 2 years later, complete systems made personal computing easier to approach. Machines such as the Apple II and TRS-80 arrived with keyboards, displays, storage options, and software ecosystems that could live on a household desk. This was the first great border crossing. The computer stopped being a project for specialists and became an object around which families, students, hobbyists, and small businesses could build routines. IBM unveiled its personal computer in August 1981. Its open architecture helped suppliers build compatible hardware and software around it. Within a year, IBM reported hundreds of software packages for the machine. The PC was no longer one product. It was becoming an ecosystem, and ecosystems can spread faster than any single manufacturer can control. The Macintosh arrived in 1984 with a graphical interface and a mouse. Instead of memorizing commands, users could point at files, windows, and icons. Designers, educators, and other non-programmers found a machine that communicated through visual metaphor. This was another border disappearing. People no longer had to think like the computer before the computer could become useful to them. At CERN, Tim Berners-Lee proposed the World Wide Web in 1989. By 1990 the earliest web application had been completed, and in 1991 a line mode browser helped the idea travel beyond one type of computer. The personal computer was transformed again. Its value no longer ended at the edge of the desk. It became a doorway into documents, communities, markets, and other machines. Laptops became thinner, software moved into cloud services, and work escaped the office. By 2020, millions of people experienced the computer less as a place than as a persistent layer connecting home, work, and communication. Now, in 2026, another transition is underway. AI systems increasingly accept natural language, images, audio, and incomplete instructions. This is not a settled endpoint. It is an emerging interface shift, from telling a machine every command toward expressing an intent and judging the result. For 80 years, the computer kept shrinking. More consequentially, the distance between human intention and computational power kept shrinking with it.